Good morning. Hang on a second. I'm just getting my Instagram live started. So good morning. Welcome to 30-day challenge. This is the subtle secrets of pranayama. We've been talking about some discussion about how the respiratory system works and interoception and the interface with the brain, of course, of the pranayama practices. And then we've also been doing some practice. So today's day 5. Mostly what I've been talking about is interoception and how an interoception is sort of that awareness of what's going on. So as opposed to just focusing solely on the pranayama techniques, what we can focus on that I think is really helpful and sort of foundational and a background to pranayama is what's going on in terms of the pranayama experience, right? So, I started by talking about like the experience of taking the breath in between the nose and the lip, and then what's going on inside your nose. And we're kind of like working our way up our nose and we'll get back down into the back of the throat. Today, I wanted to talk about the back of the throat, but then I thought, wait a minute, I haven't talked about the orbital frontal cortex yet, and how that is part of, and the limbic system and the interface between the nose brain and the limbic system. So I wanted to just talk about that first, and we'll do a meditation today on the sixth chakra or the Agya chakra, and then we'll take it from there, but down into the throat. So we're like sort of working through the respiratory apparatus. So the first thing I want to say is that you have 5 senses. Sometimes the sense of smell is called the last sense, but in the yogic system that is flipped on its head, right? So instead of having sight and taste and hearing and touch and then smell, in the yogic system, it starts with smell. Smell is correlated with the first chakra. It's correlated with the Muladhara, the root sense, the foundational part of the subtle body. And this to me is interesting because it is so sort of primal, so the first chakra is also related to the earth element. And so you think about that loamy, earthy smell right now. It's spring out there. And I think about how that the sort of the smells of the earth start to come alive at this time. And that is also clear and evident for human beings. That sense of smell is so primary. And the way that it interfaces with the brain is also interesting, whereas the sense of sight and the sense of taste and hearing and touch have to be mediated through a structure called the thalamus to get to the brain, and then to start making sense of the sense of smell goes right to the brain. And so I'm going to put a picture in the comments on Facebook if you're on Facebook, so you can see it there. But it's interesting to look at how the olfactory receptors in the nose then send signals right to what's called the olfactory bulb. And essentially, your limbic brain is sitting there right on top of your nasal cavity. It's sitting right on top of the nasal cavity. So as the scent comes in, it gets processed right into the limbic system or into the limbic brain, which is the part of the brain that is related to our emotions, right? And that's why the sense of smell is so related to so much. It has so much to do with memories, right? So when you smell the baking bread and you think about grandma's house, or you have a weird smell comes in, you're like, I've smelled that before, wherever I smelled it. That's why it's so deeply connected. And this is one of the reasons also there's mechanoreceptors and sensory receptors. So it's not just olfactory receptors. There's other stuff going on there. But it's part of the reason that pranayama is so soothing to the nervous system. So it's not just soothing to the nervous system because of our respiratory musculature and changing the what's going on with the oxygen and carbon dioxide. It's not just about that. It's also about this very soothing effect of just focusing, interocepting on how the breath is coming in through the nose. So I feel like I've talked too much for today. So let's just get right into practice. The practice is going to be focused here. And this is the orbital frontal cortex, which has a lot to do with sort of our sense of self-regulation and a sense of ourself for sure, but sense of self-regulation and sense of focus and concentration. So allow your body to come into a comfortable position. It's nice to have the spine vertical to the floor. You can soften the shoulders. You're welcome to lower or close your eyes. When you close your eyes, it shuts down that visual cortex and helps you to go a little bit more internal. So you're welcome to do either of those things. And then again, we're going to follow the breath in where it connects between the nose and the upper lip, and then following it into the nostrils and just noticing the spaciousness in there, noticing how spacious it is. Maybe a little bit more spacious on the right side today, maybe more on the left side. Notice that. And as the breath starts to move up, let the focus be right internally, right at the bridge, just above the bridge of the nose, between the eyebrows. And just feeling that oscillation or vibration in that area from the breath, particularly from the inhale, but you'll also feel it from the exhale. This is one of the most common and most important focal points for meditation practice. So you can see how this pranayama is a preparation to help you go deeper into focusing with the dharana practice, right? Pranayama, pratyahara, dharana means you're going from breathing practices into, well, of course, there's asanas come before that, breathing practices into concentration, into withdrawing of your awareness practices, pratyahara, into concentration with dharana. So let the focus stay like you're sort of using the breath to notice the area between your eyebrows, to notice that spaciousness, as if you're massaging the inside of your nose, even the brain with your breath. Think about the brain, the breath as massaging the brain from the inside. And we'll do about 3 more breaths. You can let your breath be nice and slow and deep. And then we will let this be the last full long breath. And when you finish this breath, you're welcome to just take a moment to notice, before you lift or open your eyes, notice how your body feels. Notice your state of mind. And I hope you can see that just from a couple of minutes of practice, maybe once a day or a couple of times a day, you can start to make some significant changes in your mental health and your mind state and your mood, and certainly in your capacity to monitor and notice the feeling states in the body. So thank you for being here. I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe we'll get to the throat tomorrow. Okay. Namaste. Thanks. Leave a comment.